Great, okay. So I think we can share a little bit of what we imagine our big next steps are in assembling what happened last week with the public workshops. We also, I think yesterday we had a great conversation with the advisory board about kind of what the future engagement approach looks like and how we want to continue to capture folks' opinions and ideas. And then there were a couple of kind of one-off requests from the advisory board members about how we think about engagement, I think including an email that Dan had shared last week about whether or not we would think about the next workshop series as including a weekend event. So maybe we can start with just the last week's meetings. I know, Emily, that you weren't on yesterday's meeting. Maybe Justina, I can pull up the slides that just briefly share what came out of last week's meetings. You what?
I have it open.
Oh, great. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you want to pull up just those slides?
Yeah.
So Erin, this will be a repeat for you, but
yeah, no worries.
we can deeper.
I will say it was great.
Yay.
A lot of people. That was really positive.
Yeah. We got about, what was it?
118 sign-ins.
Yep.
And not everyone signed in. Some people came in as couples or families, so we think like maybe around 150, maybe more than that. Yeah, it was super well attended. It was absolutely gorgeous out. So sorry you missed out. Oops.
Did you find a good mix of demographic of people?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in terms of like age demographics, not so much.
Yeah.
I would say it definitely skewed older, which is typical of public workshops.
Yeah.
There were a couple of younger folks that came. I mean, that's, Emily, that's part of the reason why we were hoping to get the high school was just because it would be a chance for us to engage with high school students.
Right.
So I do think that, in terms of like how we approach our meetings next time, there would be value in trying to get more kind of younger perspectives, youth perspectives in this. Otherwise, I think there were a good mix of folks. We also had a few people who were formerly incarcerated who came to the meeting, and so that was kind of interesting. The Concord Prison Outreach group also came and shared some thoughts about what they imagine the future redevelopment could look like.
Mm-hmm.
There was a huge contingent of Warner's Pond advocates that came, and then also a large number of folks that care deeply about the future of the Route 2 Rotary.
Okay.
As for the one at the park, did it seem like people were intentionally there because they had heard about it, or were they coming in because they had kind of stumbled upon it?
I'd say it was a mix of both. I think most people were there because they had heard about it, and some people just wandered off of the path.
Yeah, it was funny. I was standing over next to John when some of the first people came in to sign in, and I asked like, how did you hear about this? And they were like, how did we not hear about it? It's everywhere.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I was wanting to know.
Yeah, we were a little worried about just like, the bridge wasn't able to pull back on on the print, and so the print went out for the high school. And so there was definitely worry on our side about like how many people were gonna get, but.
Yeah, we did get a couple people who didn't get the location change memo who were upset about that. But I mean, I think we did all we could.
I think so.
The time. And one of the complaints was that the sign was no longer out at the high school before the evening session.
Oh.
But I
didn't realize that was gonna happen.
Yeah. I think we knew that they were gonna.
Those are pretty good complaints, right? I mean,
That's
there's
not
always
true.
been complaints, and that's
The sign was out at the high school, the whole afternoon and evening. So Maybe there was a
Must have just
misunderstanding
missed
about
it,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was by the cafeteria entrance where the, yeah, yep, it was there.
Mhm.
I put it there in my own truck, so.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully for the next meeting, we won't have a location change, and so that should help reduce any confusion too. Yeah. Yes, so we're still processing all of the engagement feedback. There were many post-it notes on all of the boards, which is great, but we also turned the activities that were physical in nature for the public workshops into a survey, which is online, and I don't know if we know how many people have taken the survey so far, but that's live, it's on the website. And then also we are just starting to think through how we want to approach the next round of public workshops. Of course, it was funny, Dan Gainsborough had said that at the end of the advisory board meeting that it would be wonderful if we could encourage every single resident of Concord to watch every single one of your advisory board meetings. So that they gain all of the information that they need to also engage meaningfully in this process, but our hope is that we can summarize, try to summarize all of the information for the next public workshop in a way that if you didn't engage previously, that you can engage again and you're not missing anything important. But we do need to think through how are we going to ask people to weigh in on the scenarios, especially considering that we want to start refining the scenarios over the next few weeks together with the board.
And I believe I emailed you all this, but the website has been updated with the public workshop information, so it has all the boards that were at the public workshop, and it includes the survey, which is the same questions that we had at the workshop, so people can review the boards and then come answer the questions on the survey. And that's all within the MCI Concord website.
For the May 28th workshop, are you imagining that's like a similar kind of format, or is it more sort of presentation style? I know we're still trying to figure out the venue for that location.
Typically we do more open house style. It makes it easier for people to come to those
To drop in?
weeklies.
Okay.
Yeah, but we do need to be really thoughtful about how we're communicating, what a scenario is, first of all, then what the scenarios are, and how to plug in with that and give feedback to that.
Yeah, another approach we could take too, if it feels important at this stage to present to folks would be, when we've done this in other spaces too, is to just have like a very brief, no more than 10-minute presentation that we present at the very beginning of, so let's say it's like 6 to 8, we present it at 6 and then we present it again at 7. So if you do join later, that you know when to expect that presentation. Alternatively, we could record it and it's something that people can watch off to the side.
Like at a museum.
We can just have it
Yeah.
playing on a loop. We've done that a few times where they can get the
Yeah.
content that way and then engage in the activities.
Yeah. I know.
Um,
Go ahead, Emily.
I was just gonna say like, well, Erin, finish your train of thought.
I just know we've been struggling. That's a very popular date in town. We've been struggling to find the right venue. I know we obviously have access to the townhouse. I don't know. I thought the Grill Park thing was really fun. I don't know if, if weather was nice, if that would make sense again. The Council on Aging is not available, I think, for the first session, if that's right, Shannon. But maybe it is for the second. I'm not sure if that's changed.
I think it's changed.
Okay. And we tried the library, that doesn't work, and the schools I think don't work either. That's right.
Yeah.
I guess just this dovetails with it, but did you find, and maybe I apologize, I wasn't at the meeting yesterday, that Like, would this session be better to do like a deeper dive into the feedback we got the first time? Like, would we want to create something that says, okay, when we met in April, this was the feedback, this is what
Yeah.
people want, and then let's really dig into that more in addition to soliciting new ideas, but sort of take it a step further?
Yeah, absolutely. We would be remiss not to include something that communicates like, this is everything that you shared at a high level. These are the takeaways that we've then taken and used to approach what we've done since then.
Okay.
And I think it too could be useful for us to almost articulate it as like a vision or as principles that are informing the work that we're asking the public to do. And so I imagine that you all and the broader advisory board might want to weigh in on what we imagine those principles are.
Yeah.
So, and then Dan had also suggested that maybe there might be value in doing a weekend session as well. And so, I think Erin, to your point about grow, we could imagine this in a variety of different ways. One way would be to say that we have the evening meeting on Wednesday, and that evening meeting, we could say Grow Park, rain date is town hall, if we wanted to. And then we could also suggest that there is a Saturday session, and that's during the day, and try to make sure that that's super family friendly, and that everyone, brings families, so that, we're getting that youth engagement, Emily, that we know we're missing, and then also hopefully younger adults that I think we're missing too.
Yeah, so Saturday and Sunday at the high school, Sunday is like a really big lacrosse day, lacrosse and soccer day. I think both days, maybe I'm not as familiar with the baseball schedule, but there is like a constant flow of families and activity up at the high school on those days. So I think that's a great idea. We could, I'm just trying to think of where we would do it. Aaron, I'm thinking like maybe at the front of the high school, that's really the back of the high school,
Right.
or in the parking lot there. Like, I don't know. There's probably
There's that like
parking lot too.
patio, like right at the entrance thing. If you
Yeah.
want to be outside, I agree.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to engage families. I don't know what's like the backside there's a little bit more parking there. I don't really know if there's like a entrance there
Yeah.
where the fields are.
Right. But so that could be, and so what would this date be?
I think that if we're going to do the 28th, we would probably suggest the 28th and the 31st. The weekend before is Memorial Day weekend, so I imagine that's out.
Okay.
Can
I'm
you,
looking at these
if I pull
schedules.
up, I'm just gonna pull up my Google Maps too. I just want to confirm something. So the front of the high school, is this the front of the high school here?
I don't see your
So-
screen yet.
so
Oh, there you
living.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Is this the front?
Technically, I think it's the
Yes.
back, but
Oh.
everyone. Oh no, sorry. That's the front. Yes, sorry.
That's like
Yeah.
the main entrance, but
Yes,
when you
yes.
approach the high school, it's kind of strange that where the massive parking is there, that is technically the back, but that's where you would access like the cafeteria.
Yeah,
Um,
everyone goes in that way
yeah.
most of the time.
Okay. And then all of the fields are just scattered throughout.
Yeah, there's the two fields in the back, and then there's sort of a like informal field on the left there, and then there's the big field with lights is actually down where it says stadium field.
Yeah, Memorial Field as well.
Yeah.
And so is the cafeteria typically used on the weekends?
It's
I have no
probably
idea.
not.
Mm.
I can inquire.
I don't know. I mean, there's obviously some sensitivity around the high school right now, so we'll have to like see how that's going. I don't know what events might be going on. And I
Right.
don't know when like prom is, Emily, or anything like that.
Fired about
Yeah.
and it was senior week.
Senior week? Is that week?
Yeah, I believe senior week is that week, so John had said that we couldn't use it for this one either.
But even during the weekend?
I I mean, we could follow up again, but you know, this is also right when we are supposed to be setting up for town meeting that weekend. Town meeting starts on
Okay.
second. So, you know, we start bringing stuff in for town meeting that weekend too. So,
Okay.
Is it too much to try to do something at town meeting?
What is town meeting?
It's where we all, or whoever wants to, can go sit in a room and listen to all the warrant articles and vote on them. And it's like often several nights in a row. And depending on what's being voted on, it can get a lot of attendance.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
It
like
would have to
very,
be out.
it would have to be very like stop by a table. It wouldn't be like, there wouldn't be
Yeah.
opportunity for like presentation or anything.
But you
And
could
it would
catch
probably
people on
have
their
to
way
be-
in or out, Erin, is that what
Yes.
you-
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that happen at town hall?
No, it's at the
It
high
happens
school.
at the high school.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, we could have like a poster that's like MCI workshops, like later on whatever dates, but, or go to this website, but
Yeah, we should definitely have some type of sandwich board or whatever.
yeah.
Whatever, right? That's a great idea.
that. But yeah, back to the original question, I don't think the high school is really gonna be a venue that works that week. So I'm feeling like the townhouse is probably our best option. I know the room hasn't been perfect when we've tried to use it the last couple of times, but also the notice of requests for how we want it to be set up hasn't been super in advance. So the more advanced notice we have on the exact setup we're looking for, the more we're gonna be able to set it up appropriately, because you know, we have round tables, we have larger tables, we have more chairs, we have easels, etc. We just need enough time to let our facilities team know to, hey, bring those round tables over and stuff like that.
So use the park on the 28th or no? Just stick with the townhouse the whole time. I'm assuming we could get into the park.
Yeah, that's it. That's agency's call, I would say.
No, agreed.
I feel like that sounds good to us. I think to all of your points, it was a great space. It worked quite well.
So do the park and have town hall as a rain location?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to stay there all day, all in through the evening, or if you want to move to
I mean, it will be darker.
Yeah.
So we would have to move if we do it at the park.
so similar to what you did before, just do instead of
Yeah.
Harvey Wheeler, do townhouse.
Yeah, so we could have the townhouse totally set up for both afternoon and evening in case it was bad weather, and then it will just be set up for when you want to come in the evening.
Yeah, I will say the transfer and breakdown and reset up it worked great.
It's a lot.
But it was a tight time.
And sunset in Concord on the 28th will be 8:15 PM. So we could have the meeting happen
Be shorter.
at 8 PM or like end at 8 PM instead of 9. I don't know if that's a.
Up to you guys.
Yep.
Okay,
So like all at the park or all at the townhouse, depending on weather.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Shannon's point about like, let's just try to do it all in a space. I think that's a great idea.
In terms of a weekend, if the high school's not an option, I know there's soccer at Emerson Field
Mhm.
on Saturday morning. I don't know what other sports are there, but
There's probably some baseball or softball. There's always like a ton of people dog walking there. I mean, that may be
It's
the
the
safe
playground,
bet.
it's,
They're
yeah.
getting a lot of action there, especially if it's a nice day.
Yeah, so maybe there's a way for us to do like a mini meeting, like some kind of a way to engage people. If they are dog walking, that they can stop by for 5 minutes, share what their vision is, and then it makes me think of, I'm just gonna pull this up on my screen. Maybe there's a way this is a very different kind of project. It was a park project that we did, but essentially, we were trying to understand, we had a very limited budget for the investment in this park. And there were many different ideas about what the park should support, and so I do wonder if there's a way for us to almost use blocks or something that we're asking people to say, like, it could both be a conversation about how much it costs to remediate the site, since we know generally how much that will cost. And then also a way of communicating that cost needs to be paid off. And so asking people to help inform what the future development ends up being with that understanding.
Mhm.
Because I do know that there were a lot of people in the workshops, the first round of workshops, there were a range of ideas. Some people were like, let's build 10-story towers. And then there were other people who said single family or bust, or like, I just want this to be a park. And I do think that the like realities of what it's going to take to bring this site up just to do any of those things is going to detract from some of the ideas that are much more, that are going to have less revenue generation potential.
Mhm.
So it could be that we do like a much simpler exercise than the one that we did yesterday, but essentially like ask people to kind of like weigh in using blocks or something. So it's like, what land use composition are you imagining happens here? Yeah.
Yeah, I love blocks, and we can still say like, you need this many blocks of housing and this many blocks of this other thing, if we want to.
I kind of imagine keeping it even more open-ended than that, like
Just
just
let them
saying,
build whatever.
there is $100 million that has to be spent, and you just need to make sure that whatever you bring into it contributes $100 million back in, or, something that like, that, expresses, what does it mean to make the investment, knowing that if you decide that you don't want to bring anything in, like housing, that would offset that $100 million like initial site prep investment, that like you understand that it means that the town is then gonna have to take that cost, I guess is like what we're getting to. Because I think that's the thing that's missing, or that folks who did attend the workshop weren't entirely connecting to, is that someone has to pay for it somewhere. And connecting them to the decision making that they are going about, and then them understanding that like, if they do want it to be entirely park, they can do that, but by making it entirely a park means that cost gets passed on to the state or the town.
Mhm.
Curious what you all think.
I mean, I definitely had some conversations up, particularly in the evening, with folks who were like, we're just gonna have to put as much in there that's revenue generating as possible. So I think there's definitely a mixed understanding of that. And I think we'll just have to keep talking about it and letting people know I mean, I don't know if we would be ready to like say like, okay, we think it's gonna cost whatever, 100 million to just get this to a buildable site, and then, or some way to communicate that. And
So
that
where did that 100 million come from? Are you just throwing that out as a hypothetical?
it was discussed a little bit yesterday.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
obviously it's still order of magnitude. It's, no one has real detail on it yet, but just the demo, remediation, all the various pieces of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The wastewater treatment plant, yeah.
I
Yeah.
just get sometimes reluctant to like throw that number out there, because there's someone's gonna hang on to that number,
Right.
and then it's gonna come in at 115, and then we're doing a bad job and we're not, being responsible. You know what I mean? Like, I just,
Yeah. That is happening with the Warner's Pond project, so I totally.
I mean,
totally hear you.
I wonder if
Yeah.
it could be, fictitious, like
Right.
it's gonna cost X. And so how are you gonna,
$4 signs.
$4
Yeah.
signs, exactly. It could be a little bit abstract for them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that doesn't necessarily mean the town has to pay for that, but it may be a developer cost that the developer is gonna wanna recoup. that
Yeah,
cost, right?
exactly. That whoever is taking charge over the site and what it ends up being is gonna wanna recoup that cost somehow. Okay, so we'll start to assemble what we imagine the next workshop will include, and then can also assemble draft graphics for outreach via all of the different means that we used the last time. I don't know if you all feel like those methods would continue to be appropriate, and if there's anything else we'd wanna do on top of what we did previously.
Is there, I don't know, if there's any option for like a remote component? I know that
Yep,
like some people, that's really the only way they can engage.
yeah. We can definitely, I think we can definitely offer a better remote option, for sure. Yeah, we've gone about it in all of our advisory board meetings, so I think it's only fair that we do it for the workshops too.
I mean, it could be like another time. It doesn't have to be at the same time that the workshops are going on, but I know
Yeah.
that's more to prepare for.
The postcards that we had did not get sent to households last time.
Right.
Did it?
Correct.
Right.
No, they did not.
They were dropped off at various locations for people to
Yeah,
grab.
yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering that given that we do have a little bit of time, if that wouldn't be another avenue of communication
Mhm.
Mailing
to
out
have
to
them actually
households.
go directly
Yeah.
to households.
And how do you, Donna, were you imagining that it just be the households that are directly surrounding the site, or are you imagining kind of a broader audience?
I was imagining the all town of Concord.
Well, how do you all go about
Addresses.
reaching out to the town today?
When we
What do you
do
reach out?
like a total mailing, we
Yeah,
bulk mail to every household.
okay. And do you have a sense for how much that generally costs? I imagine that like if you have access to the addresses, then it would be less expensive to go about.
Yeah,
Bulk
I think
mail.
Shannon, 3,000, does that sound about right?
Say less, it's just the postcard
Yeah,
and they're already printed, or we need to print more.
We would need to print them, but I think,
If
I
we
don't know.
printed
confirm.
to every household, I think then would be like 3,000.
yeah.
Okay. I think if we think that that is an important means to get the word out to everyone and give them the option, whether or not they want to participate, then we can go that route.
I don't
We
know
could
that you need to
include-
print all the addresses. You can just print to I think if you just say zip code, you can,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
how the
it just
Concord
goes to
Bridge comes. It
residents.
just goes to like everyone in the zip code, I think is.
Yeah. I can
There's not
give you
individual
the,
addresses on them.
I can give you the thing that we put on the back of the bulk mails.
Yeah,
The
I
other
think
thing
we
I'm
sent
thinking
an example.
is it could also have the link to the survey. And if there is a remote opportunity, that would be a good thing to do
Yeah.
there too as well.
Yep, okay, so we can go ahead and draft all of that, maybe before the end of the week and share that with you all. And of course, I think Shannon will have to work with you and Megan to make sure that we can get Guru Park, since now it's gonna be such a popular venue and we're gonna be competing against kids with birthday parties. We'll just make sure that we can get a hold of it sooner rather than later.
And do you want to try for a weekend location or hold for now?
I mean, I think we're happy to try for a weekend, and I think that what I was hearing from you all was that it's like a way to get folks that are going from place to place.
Yeah.
And so it would be more of like a kind of a mini workshop, and we're approaching it by considering that people only have 5 minutes to chat, and so we could identify a few different locations, and maybe it's more of like and look for us in this park on Saturday. We'll be, hoping to chat with you as you're going about your day. But like, maybe we still we structure it as like this big workshop is happening here and online on these dates, and look for us in these other places to to give additional feedback. Is that feel right to you all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And yeah, what else do we wanna cover with this group? We are still processing engagement feedback, so we're hoping to share like a summary of engagement, a kind of like deeper dive into the more content side of things sometime next week. And Emily, to your point, will then include that summary in the workshop materials that we assemble for the 28th.
Okay, great. Just a couple other logistics. Shannon, we're still messing around with the PTG meeting, so there was a conflict on the 21st.
Okay.
So I hope to find out the date today, so we'll have to move that again. And I'm just want to give Dr. Hunter some time after the accidents to reschedule the meeting with her and Carrie Rankin. I mean, I do think that's an important meeting for us to attend, right? Because I think they'll have some good data points around the capacity of our schools, you know, how many additional children, like just how all of that works, which we should be thoughtful of. So I'll probably reach out to her next week to reschedule.
Is there not a meeting next Wednesday night? Saw that come through from Shannon, I think.
Wednesday night, hold on. I think that's gonna change to,
That's the PTG. You're saying that doesn't work.
I think it's gonna change to the
That was the
20th.
14th.
Yeah, I think it's gonna go from the 14th to the 20th, but I just need to confirm today.
Okay.
And then I think, the other thing that I just wanted to discuss was making sure that everyone is synced up about the town MCI website and the agency website. Is everything linking how we want it to link?
Let me take a look right now.
Yeah, we updated a few links on our end too, so things might have changed to try and be responsive to some of the feedback.
Yeah, and then like something I
I
wanted
can
to,
share my screen if that's helpful.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Donna.
something I wanted to follow up on, like Justina sent the slides from yesterday's presentation. Do we want to put stuff like that on the town website now, or no, we're just gonna direct people, we really want to direct people to the agency website?
I think it would be nice if everything kind of pointed to that one agency website to have
Yeah,
everything there.
so like I haven't looked today, because Justina just sent the slides last night, but Justina, were those posted to the agency website?
We haven't posted them.
Those are not on the agency website. No, I just emailed them to the group that was on the invite for yesterday's meeting.
Okay,
Similar, yeah, similar to would we want to treat them similarly to meeting minutes and just make sure that the board's okay with us posting them, or does it?
That's probably a good idea.
Okay, so right now, this is the homepage of the town's website. We've got the little MCI Concord logo here, which when you click on it, it goes right to the agency's
Yeah.
site.
Which
And
looks great, I
then,
think, and I love the map on the site, by the way.
yeah,
Thank
and then we still have the advisory board site because we have to. But I don't know, Shannon, do we have a link off of that at this point to back to the other one?
think so, but at this point, my feeling about this page, and now I know this was the main complaint before we merged the town development and board page. This is very buried. Like you honestly have to look to find it
Yeah.
on the town website.
Yeah.
And this is essentially just the board's official information, like agendas and meeting minutes. So I feel like I don't even know if we need to put another link on
Okay.
here, the agency page, because I feel like if you got here, you were really searching. If you want to put another link on there, we can.
Yeah, and then we have the old page where it has the advisory board information and the redevelopment, but everything here links back to the agency page. And it was just as for the time, it was kind of as not a placeholder, but a little bit of history. If someone was looking for it, it still retained it on the town site. But like I said, everything points back to the agency site, and there is a link to the advisory board if someone was specifically looking for that. And we could get rid of this entirely and that can just go away.
I think it makes sense to streamline as much as possible.
So completely get rid of
If we
all
can, yeah.
references to the redevelopment from the town's page, except for the link off the front that goes directly to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay. And we'll bolster the resources page on our end to make sure it includes all of the attachments. We've had over 1,000, was it 1,300 views? Unique
As
views to
of
the
like
website.
Sunday,
Yeah,
so might be more now.
yeah.
Does it count if I go to this site like 10 to 12 times a day? No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's unique visits, but we'll confirm.
I don't actually do that, but I just,
It's okay, Erin. We're all friends here. You can tell us.
Eric Husker, 12 visits in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. We'll confirm unique visits, but.
14, 19 total visits and what does this say? 13, 1262 unique visitors.
So Erin's 200 visits are global included.
okay, great.
Yeah. Still, I feel like that's good. 1,200 unique visits is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we were a little compressed on time last time, but for the workshop, like, Shannon, I don't know if we could get into like actual ads in the Concord Bridge. I know it was kind of in the community calendar, but I don't.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even really know quite where that left off because just, wound up putting whatever was in there in the bridge because I had already left for vacation.
Yeah.
What I was told was that we were going to have a quarter page. Is
Okay.
what showed up in the bridge.
I don't think so. At least I didn't see that. I saw like there's the community calendar page.
You were definitely charged $300 for a quarter page. So
Like, I mean, maybe it's coming out this week, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it last week. Maybe I don't think I missed it. I was looking pretty hard, but maybe I did.
I'll ask them because I'm definitely not paying the invoice if it wasn't in there.
Okay. Was it definitely supposed to be last or 2 weeks ago? I don't know when it was supposed to be.
Let me check when I sent it to Jason at Concord Bridge.
Yeah,
There was a little bit of follow-up after that because we asked if they could change it for the new
He
location.
said no, because it already been printed, yeah.
But I sent it to him April 17th, just before noon.
so that would have been printed then on April 25th. In that edition of the bridge that was sent on April 25th.
I didn't see it. Not perfect, but
Them because yeah, we're definitely not paying it if it wasn't in there.
I might still have that paper. I can look. April 25th.
Yeah. But otherwise I had that appeared in the bridge. I was thinking that was, something that we'd probably like to do again, it was in a nice graphic format, like
Yeah.
the flyer that was posted online too.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think we should try to do that before the 28th.
yeah, we can definitely do that again, and I think we won't be as pressed for doing it.
So we'll plan to assemble the quarter page advertisement, social media posts, and then more of that postcard, double-sided postcard again, and we'll share that with you all for review and approval.
Yeah.
Hey,
just one question. Shannon, am I allowed to post the website on my personal social media page or LinkedIn page just to say like, hey, check out our progress? Like anything from open committee law preventing me from doing that?
Definitely, I would say share away.
Okay,
Yeah, I shared the town had like a Facebook thing that I shared personally
okay,
about the workshops.
okay.
and then
Like
are we all okay? I guess John's not here, so we can make that decision without him at this point. Are we okay with having John or someone from this group send out that email again? I think that email was a helpful way to reach out to the other committees, and it seemed like it got a lot of traction in terms of attendance.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yep. Because it also hit on some groups that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they also shared their feedback about what they'd like to see, what their visions
Yeah.
are, which was nice. Yeah. Okay.
Good, once we're off, I'll email the bridge too and see if they can send me what was supposed to appear.
Yeah, I emailed him again on the 24th when we had decided to, when we figured out what the new location was gonna be, but I think by then, like it's already baked what they're gonna print, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and he said that they weren't able to change it in that paper.
It definitely appeared, I think, as the wrong location or the old location in like there's a community calendar page. I just didn't see an ad, like a physical order page or anything.
Gotcha, and I did submit events to the website for the calendar on the
Yeah,
Concord
and
website.
That seemed like
but I
that
didn't
worked.
see it.
I can
Okay,
go,
so
I'll dig through my recycling tonight.
Okay.
well, you all do the same. Awesome. Okay, I feel like that's it on our agenda. I know that we had set these up as hour and a half just because we imagined that sometimes we might need that time. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to talk through, at least on the engagement front.
I just didn't know if we wanted to have a schedule our next. Do we need a meeting
yeah.
before the 28th?
Absolutely.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Can either do next the 13th or the 20th if we're sticking to Tuesdays.
We have been meeting on Fridays and this was just kind of a one-off.
Oh, right, the Fridays. Is there another one scheduled?
Not before the 28th. So there's either the 16th or the 23rd, but I'm not sure if the 23rd, that's a tight turnaround to the 28th if we need to.
Agree.
Them, so maybe the 16th.
Great.
I can do the 16th, but a little later in the day.
Okay. When is good for you, Emily?
I would say like 12, I would say 1-ish or later.
Right out.
Yeah. I assume John will be back.
Never know. But yes,
Don't
he
have his
should be.
calendar, Emily?
I try not to be. Try to keep my distance,
I
Aaron.
don't share that with my siblings either.
I think he's definitely back by then.
Yeah, it looks like we're pretty available after 1 p.m. too.
Okay.
So yeah, I do think that might merit an hour and a half meeting. We'll of course plan to get you all the advertisement stuff end of this week so that you can weigh in. But ideally what we'll plan to do on the 16th in terms of agenda would be to walk through the workshop approach and share any kind of draft materials for the workshop.
Okay.
Emily, do you know if anything happened with our voiceover work?
Our drone video?
Yeah.
I'll let me check into that. I haven't heard anything. I don't,
Yeah.
Obviously there's a delay. I'll have Johnny check in.
Great. Yeah, we're happy to post it whenever it's ready.
I can't wait to see it.
I know, it'll be fun. And hear it.
Great.
Anything else from this crew that you need to cover?
Not on my end.
Awesome. All right, well, I hope you can get some late lunch in. It was good to see you all, and
Thank you too.
yeah,
Thanks for
we'll
everything.
send things along later this week.
Alrighty.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.